In my last video, I focused on struggles that come as just part of the package of showing up for life fully and going after what we want in life. In today's video, I want to focus on the exact opposite. Struggles that come as a result of playing small and staying stuck in old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us. And to illustrate this idea, I'm going to share a parable that I learned from Dina Friedman in her Power series, which is a great course, by the way. I highly recommend. And I also teach the parable in my Soul Powers course, but because it just fits in so perfectly with the theme of this series, I had to share it here as well. So here's the parable. There was a rabbi who told one of his students to go to another town to visit another one of his students and to tell him how he's doing. So the student goes to this other man's house, and when he gets there, he sees a tumble-down shack. And he gets to the house, he knocks on the door, he introduces himself and welcomes inside, and he comes inside the house and he just sees a very sad situation. The family is dirt poor, there's hardly any furniture, they're hungry, and there's this old cow, this old skinny cow in the backyard, and he's told that the milk that they get from this old cow is the family's main source of nourishment. Anyway, after the visit, he goes back to the rabbi and he reports back to him on the visit, and the rabbi says to him, okay, now I want you to go back at night when no one's looking, and I want you to throw their old cow off the cliff in their, in the backyard. There's like a cliff in the back of the backyard. I want you to throw the old cow off the cliff. And the student is horrified. He's like, what are you talking about? How could I do that? They need the old cow. This is how they feed their family. And the rabbi said, just do as I say. And because the student really trusted his rabbi, he listened to him and he went and he killed the old cow. Anyway, years later, he wanted to go back and visit, see what happened to them, see how they were doing. So he comes to the family again, and in place of where the shack used to stand, there's now a big, beautiful home. And again, he knocks on the door, he's welcomed inside, and he just sees a completely transformed family. The wife and the children, they are well fed, well dressed, and everyone just seems to be thriving. And the student says to the man of the house, what happened here? Like, this is a very different situation than when I last visited. And the man said, yes, well, a few years ago, my old cow died. And I was completely distraught. I didn't know what I was going to do because that cow was my family's main source of nourishment. And I cried for 3 days straight. But eventually I had no choice, and I started to try new things. I got inventive, I got creative, and I was able to build up a successful business, and here we are today. So every one of us has old cows that we cling to, either because we don't know any better, or we're afraid to try something new, or we think it will be too hard. And these old cows, they keep us surviving at like a baseline level of miserable that's tolerable. And because we can tolerate it, we don't try very hard to change things or make things better, so we just stay small and limited. But because Hashem loves us, and because He wants so much more for us than we can even dream for ourselves, then when the time is right, and He knows that we're ready, He throws these old cows off the cliff for us. And what that looks like in our life is that the things that we used to do and think and believe, because to a certain extent they worked for us, suddenly they no longer work for us anymore, and there's some sort of a breakdown. So for example, suddenly it just no longer works to put ourselves last and play the martyr. Or it no longer works for us to relate to God and religion in like a fear-based or cultish kind of way. By the way, side note, children can be fantastic at destroying religious old cows. So don't just look at these children as rebellious. They often have a lot to teach the adults around them. Speaking of God and religion, some old cows can be staying disconnected from God and thinking that we can go through life flying solo, which we can't, and eventually we're going to learn that. The old cow can be codependency, negativity, being controlling, being critical. The old cow can be not going to therapy or eating poorly or avoiding conflict. There are so many examples of old cows, and they all keep us stuck in shame and blame and playing small and suppressing our authentic soul-based desires. And when these old cows get destroyed, it can feel awful, it can feel scary, it could really create chaos. But if we understand what's happening, if we understand the purpose of the breakdown, then even in our pain, we can still lean into God's reality, which is the reality of truth. And we can understand that as much as we don't like what's happening, it really is happening for us. And when we understand that it's happening for our benefit, then we can maximize the redemptive potential in the situation.